Hello everybody, my name is Angel Rafael Toro, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the first episode of Daredevil Born Again. Yes, Daredevil Born Again is back. So, Daredevil Born Again, it's Disney's new interpretation on Daredevil, and in my opinion, it is some of the best stuff that Disney has made. I am going to be saying some spoilers in this because I feel like I can't review it without detailing what happens in the episodes, but let's give it a go. First thing I want to talk about is the Daredevil himself, Charlie Cox. Charlie Cox is so good in this show, and I feel like Disney has really put Matt at the forefront and is considering him the most important part of this, which I agree. I think it's because they are planning to use Daredevil and other stuff. I'm not sure if he's in Secret Wars or whatever, but I think that they're characterizing him this strongly so that general audiences know who he is going into the Avengers movies, which is what they used to do, not anymore. Damn. I think that what this show does with Daredevil's alter ego compared to other stuff like Spider-Man is new and refreshing. He's kind of quippy, you know, he's a little sassy, he's a little sarcastic, but he's kind and he's righteous, and he's reserved to an extent too, right? You feel like he doesn't show his hand to many people. Matt Murdock is him really suppressing everything that is boiling up. When Daredevil comes out and that anger, that pure hatred comes out, that's truly him. And that he plays that so perfectly in the first two episodes. But in the first episode, you could definitely tell that there's a switch that when the cowl is put on or when he sees blood, then he goes freaking nuts. I think the action is really good. Something that is underrated with action storytelling is how it could ground your world. Think about it. A lot of people aren't thinking of the recent MCU stuff as grounded because of the CGI. The new Captain America movie looks like someone made that shit in Blender. And they spent like $300 million on that movie. But I digress. Action can ground your show, is the point I'm trying to make. And this show does that perfectly. There is this one scene in the first episode where it's a long take of them going up the stairs of Bullseye and Daredevil fighting as they go up the stairs. And it's no cuts. The camera moves up the stairs with the characters. As the fight escalates, we as the audience literally ascend up the stairs with them, and it keeps getting more brutal and more dire as they move up the stairs, kind of ascending or escalating the situation type thing. I just think that aspect of the action is something that is underappreciated and underlooked and underutilized, quite honestly. The use of color is really good too. They use a lot of like baby blue to juxtapose the red of Matt and the harsh colors of like the blood red, and it makes the scene feel so much more energetic because it's like the colors are bouncing off of each other and it just looks pretty. Bullseye enters Josie's, it's very mute. The colors are dim because of the smoke. All you can see is kind of the lights radiating off of the lamps, which looks really cool. As they move up the steps, it goes into this like baby blue lighter color.
The reason why this coloring is so cool is because once they escape from the steps and they end up on the top of the roof, the coloring goes back from baby blue to the harsh tones of red and dark of Hell's Kitchen.
I like the parallels between Matt and Fisk. I know I haven't spoken a lot about Fisk, but I'll speak more about him later. But the parallels between Matt and Fisk are very strong, especially if you've seen the original show. It could kind of be this extra layer of showing you where these characters are at the moment, especially after the tragedy in the first episode of Foggy. These two characters are in a very unique spot. They're kind of both moving away from what made them themselves because of something traumatic that has happened to the both of them. In Daredevil's case is Foggy, but in Kingpin's case is getting his shit kicked in by Daredevil. I mean, he brings it up like 3 times, and Fisk is obviously terrified of Matt in the show. Another good thing is BB. Honestly, I don't like the character itself, there's been one scene with them, so I don't really know them, and they didn't really stand out in that scene. But what I really like is the reporting that they're doing. I think that the reporting that they're doing does something that the MCU has lacked so much, that they used to do really well, and that is world building. What Daredevil wants you as audience to do is to get invested into not just the characters, but to the city of New York and the setting of New York. Their world building has been lacking, and what the BBCs do is they world build. They characterize New York, and when you characterize New York, you give the audience a reason to care about what's going to happen with them. So when you characterize the city, you are immediately tied to another storyline that they're trying to set up, which is the Fisk Mayor storyline. So you immediately have another connection to another part of the story, which enriches it, makes it feel more together, more cohesive. Another thing that's done a lot better in this show that I feel like has been lacking in the MCU lately is good dialogue. And I don't know if that's Charlie Cox doing such a good job, or if that's the writing team, but I feel like the energy of the show is a lot more palpable than in other shows, if you know what I mean. Except for some of the side characters, I feel like the dialogue is stellar. Everything that Matt says is freaking gold. Everything that Fisk says is gold. All right, and some of the stuff that I really did not like. Here's where we're gonna get into Fisk a little bit. I know that what I said earlier, it still stands true. Everything he says is gold. Yes, that's because of Vincent D'Onofrio. His performance as Fisk is freaking awesome. That scene of Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio talking in the diner was so good. And we're gonna unpack that in a second. But my big gripe with Fisk is that he doesn't feel that threatening. What was one of the first introductions of Fisk in season 1 of Daredevil was him destroying someone's head between a car door. That's crazy. But in here, he's more reserved, and he's trying to give the allure, at least, of being more of a reformed person. Obviously, we see in the second episode that's not so true, and that's the stuff that I like to see. I like to see Fisk being more evil and conniving rather than this like good boy. The main thing is that he is so afraid of Matt. It's like Matt has this incredible aura oozing from him that Fisk is definitely afraid of. It's just so funny when Matt pulls up on him. Yeah, we could talk. Yeah, we could talk. And at the diner, when they were talking, when he was like, you know, I'm the mayor now, and you can't be a vigilante, 'cause I'm gonna stop you. Please don't be Daredevil. I don't like that side of Fisk so much. We'll see. I have this in the we'll see section of my opinions, because they're starting to get better and better with it in episode 2 with him being a little bit more conniving and being a little more evil. It wasn't my favorite characterization of Fisk. I bet it'll be better later on once he loses his shit. Poindexter, although I like the scenes that he's in, everything that he's in is fire. And I mean, the actor is so good. He's this fucking crazy person. He's acting like a crazy person. Although I like his scenes, I can obviously tell that he was just written there to kill Foggy. I could tell that the writers were like, okay, the last version of the show was bad. What can we do? And they were like, hello, let's bring in Bullseye. They'll love that shit. They'll eat it up like fucking popcorn. I don't know. Holy shit, my computer just turned off. Another bad thing. How the fuck did Vanessa take over the criminal empire that we saw Fisk struggle to keep in line for the first 3 seasons of Daredevil? What, their explanation was, business is booming. Okay, how did you get it to boom? Last time I saw a Fisk, he was going to jail. I didn't get enough of an explanation for me to really believe that Vanessa has completely taken over the Kingpin's duties. My biggest gripe with the show, the characters. besides Matt. I think Matt is done really well, but everybody else is not done nearly as well. It could be an acting diff, because I know that that detective guy, that private investigator guy, is rough. But it could be the acting. It could be a script diff, that these side characters aren't getting the same level of treatment that Matt and Fisk are. But regardless of the reasoning, is that they're not interesting. It's like they replaced all of these characters with new, more uninteresting characters. Especially with freaking Foggy and Karen. They were replaced by McDuffie, and I guess Heather Glenn would be the Karen type character. It would be so much more interesting to me if this was just Foggy and Karen and not McDuffie and Glenn, because we already have the foundation there of the first 3 seasons. You could jump straight into the story that you want to tell, as opposed to what they did was do that anyways, jumping straight into the story that they want to tell anyways, but at the cost of the characters not being nearly as well written. Okay, this the first 2 episodes. We'll see about the side characters. It's like a 9-episode series or whatever, but mostly I'm okay with the decision to kill off Foggy and write out Karen, because they get to do more new stories. But they could have just done those new stories with them, and it would be a lot more enjoyable, because those characters are written better and those actors are better. I mean, the actors for Karen and Foggy are so good. Why would you get rid of that? And why would you get rid of the characters that Matt has the most chemistry with? Now you have to restart and build a new chemistry, which you are not doing, because he's mostly on his own. I mean, he's working with McDuffie, but it's that same thing that Matt does. He doesn't really reveal his life. I think he literally tells McDuffie to stay out of his private life. But nonetheless, the side characters are not written nearly as well as the main character, which does affect the overall experience. That being said, first episode is fucking great. What a great return to what the character is supposed to be. What a great return to the silver screen. What an episode of television. There was so much stuff to like that is outside of the normal MCU, why you would like a typical superhero movie, which immediately puts it above so much of the other stuff in the MCU's catalog, especially some of the more recent stuff. But overall, what a great episode of television.